And we're back. So now we are going to be talking about the different methods of controlling uh, pest, mainly some of the chemical type control measures that you're going to find out there. So throughout the semester, we've been talking about the different problems. We talked about diseases, we talked about insects, we talked about nematodes, we talked about parasitic higher plants and weeds. And so now we get to look at how to control them, or what are some of the things that you need to consider when you are going to be using a product that may be out there for the control of this plant problems. And so we are going to be talking about the pesticides. So remember, the pesticides are out there as a last resort. So when we're dealing with integrated pest management, so you look for ways to mitigate the problem. Then you use some kind of maybe natural biological control. And then you begin with some of the organic, less toxic type chemicals. And then as a last resource, you do have the possibility of using some of the chemicals. Again, that is an option. So here's just some quick definitions of what a pesticide is. So an economic poison. So it is a product that is used to kill or to deal with a problem. So an economic poison that is defined in most states and federal law as any substance used for controlling, preventing, destroying, repelling, or mitigating any pest. So that's just a general definition. I'm sure there will be others. But when we look at the different categories of pesticides, we have insecticides, the products that are used to control the insects. Uh, we have the herbicides, the products that are used to control the herbs. So that's going to be weeds. We have the rodenticides, the products to control rodents, such as rats, if you're dealing with interior or home pest control, as well as outside, but also for gophers and also for the ground squirrels. That would be a rodenticide for the different rodents that are out there. We have the nematicide for treating nematodes. We have some defoliant, so some products that will also drop the leaves on some of the plants as well as the flowers. For olive trees, when people want to control the fruit set, then they'll use something like that. But it's also mainly used in a lot of greenhouses. We have then the fungicide, the product that it is used to control the fungi, most of the plant diseases. We have the wood preservatives, so the wood that is treated for preventing rot, so that would fall under this category. We have the molluscicide, which are the products to control mollusk, mainly snails and slug. So the sluggo or scargo will fall under this category. And then we have the acaricide, which are the products that control acari, which are going to be the mites. Mainly the spider mites will fall into this category. And then plant growth regulators used in the industry, the greenhouse, the floral industry for keeping plants small. So it's used with poinsettias and chrysanthemum and a few other things. Again, that is also a type of pesticide. But when we look at how some of these pesticides are going to affect the plant, so these are going to be some of the mode of action, how they're going to kill the insect or the problem. So most of them are going to have some kind of nerve poison. So as the insect comes in contact with the actual chemical, or if the chemical has a long residual that is going to remain on the plant for a while, and when the insect walks on it, then it's going to get the chemical in them, and then the chemical is going to take their action. In this case, is going to affect the nervous system, and that's how eventually the insect will die. Just be aware that this may be linked to Parkinson's, which is kind of part of the nervous system, that some of these herbicides may have been linked to that or maybe linked to that. So either by contact or by walking on it as a residual, that's how they're going to come affect the insect. And also most of the products, insecticides, are going to love fat. So they're going to kind of hide and live in the fat. And that's where insects and humans and animals will also kind of store it. But be aware of that. So most insects, again, will probably be sprayed with it, and or it's going to walk on it. So here is also how some of the actions of those toxins may occur. Some of them are going to be stomach poison, even some of the biological control, like our uh, for caterpillars, TB, Bacillus thuringiensis, or BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, the common bacteria used for controlling cutworms and a couple of other caterpillars. So the insect will eat the spore, and then it's going to destroy their stomach. So some of them is going to be a stomach poison. So when the insect eats the leaf is covered with the long residual pesticide, the insect is going to get poison and kill. Or it's going to be the contact, where it's just coming or walking on it, getting spray up with it. It's going to then bring the product in contact with the insect. Or it's going to be a fumigant or a vapor where it's going to choke them because they're going to breathe and they're uh, not going to have any oxygen. And that's going to be for termites when they do the tenting. That's going to be what that may be. And so when we're going to begin by looking at the pesticide label. It is very important that you are aware of the pesticide label. Every single product has a pesticide label, and you need to read it. The pesticide label is the law, and you must follow it. And that's when people will get into trouble if they do not decide to do this, or they simply buy a product and they use it, not realizing that they're using it against what the label says, and so now they can get in trouble. So we're going to take just a product. This is going to be Roundup, and we're going to look at some of the specific and some of the important things that you need to be aware of from the, uh, the pesticide label. So every product has one. So one of the first things that you need to be aware of is the first thing is going to be the product name, the brand, and the trademark. And so for us, in the pesticide, it's going to be Roundup Pro. That's going to be our the name. It's also important that in this area, you also have whether the pesticide is restricted or the pesticide use statement, how the product is to be used. So if it's a restricted chemical product, then you will need a license, and it will require a different process for you to be able to use that. That would be fumitoxins if it's still allowed here in California. But be aware where the label and the brand and the trademark is located. Some of the labels may be a little bit different. Things might change a little, but all this information should be found within each and every single label. So here is the label for Roundup. So number one. Number two is going to be the ingredients, the products, the chemical. In this case for Roundup, it is glyphosate. That is going to be the product, the chemical that is going to have the action, as well as different types of adjuvants, products that are mixed with this glyphosate to make it last longer or have better contact with the pest. So that would be found here. So number two. Number three, every product has a keep out of children's reach with cosmetic and a bunch of other things, even household cleaners. They have the same thing. So keep out of reach of children. Number four is the signal word, whether the product is a caution or something higher. So when we are looking at the signal words, they can either be caution, warning, or danger. And you might hear that there is a category. So if you look at danger, that is going to be a category one, toxicity. So category one, meaning that these are very, very toxic and you should be very careful with them. The warning would be category two, and the caution will be category three. So when they are going through a very strenuous process of testing the product to make sure that it gets registered in the state of California, they also have to figure out how much of this product would kill a normal human. And we'll say in a normal human, they have an average of a person. So it could be less or more depending on your individual height, size, and weight. But as a general category, when we're looking at a product that is danger, we're going to have about 1/8 of an ounce that will kill a population of animals, and that's going to be referred to as the LD14, lethal dose 50, sorry, not 14, lethal dose 50, LD50. So whatever product quantity kills that half of that population in a lab, then it is that's how it gets its rating. So category two, the warning is 1/8 of an ounce to a little bit over an ounce, and then it keeps getting higher and higher and higher. So for the danger category, it also comes with a skull and crossbone, just to show and let people know that this is not a product that you should be taking lightly, and you should be very, very careful with what you're using. So category one, danger; category two, warning; category three, caution; and that's going to be the category for the pesticide. So they all have it, so make sure you look for it. And when we're looking at how the exposure gets into people, it's usually going to be in some of the sensitive areas. So in areas where they usually don't see the sun, like the armpits, if you see here, there is a 7.5% higher exposure or the absorption of the chemicals. The eyes, the mouth, again, open entryways that will bring the product into your stomach. So when we look at some of the non-exposed area, very little. Palm of your hands, you have a lot of callus. You use them a lot. And most often you would wear gloves. But this is just showing you some of the more common areas where the chemical may go into your body, and just be cautious and be protective of those areas. Number 6 is going to be the first aid, just in case something happens. There has a lot of these labels come because of accidents, problems that may have occurred, children who may have drank the product, and or people not just not being careful. So the first aid, what to do in case something happens. If you get an exposure to it, what to do about it, and or if you have, if it gets in your eyes, as you can see here, what to do in such of those cases. So make sure that you read it before you use the product so that you are aware. And it's also required for you to read the label every single time you're going to use the product. So don't just read it once and assume that you're going to remember everything. Number 7 is going to be the Environmental Protected Agency registration number and the establishment number. So as mentioned, every product that you need to use, or every product that is found in California, it's going to be registered with the Environmental Protective Agency. It'll take many years. There's going to be testing. There's going to be evidence. There's going to be numbers that will need to be submitted by the company. And once they get the number, then they are able to use in California. This also brings into a problem when people go into a different state. You go into a different state, Nevada, Oregon, you can find different products that are registered to be used in that state, but not in California. So be aware of that, because you may get something now online that is good for this kind of pest problem that is coming from New York, but it's not registered in California. So you can get into a lot of trouble. Be aware of that. So make sure that it has the Environmental Protection Agency number, because that also gives a lot of information if somebody needs to research deeper into this product. Also the company name and address, just in case they need to know something. Now they probably have emails and or a different way of finding this information. The other important thing that you should know is that you can now go to these companies and find and download a digital label. So if you don't want to have the paper form, which most people lose, you can just have records of the products that you're using by having a digital label in a folder somewhere, but you can always have it for reference. So company name and address. So Monsanto is the one that makes glyphosate. The precautionary statement, just a generic statement as to the use of this product. And we have the direction for use that is very important. So it's going to be used for agricultural requirements, or how you're going to use it, and also storage and disposal of the product. You cannot just dump it in the sewer or dump it in the drain or just throw it in the ground, and that is contaminating the area. So, and then storage to make sure that if there's a leak, that is not going to go into the drinkable water, or if you're going to store it, you need to store it in a shed that is going to have a metal container that is going to be locked, and it's going to have warning signs or chemical storage area that can be viewed from several feet away, so that in case there's a fire, the firemen know that they should be very careful, because there are chemicals that are in storage there, and they can go boom, and you don't want that to happen. So storage and disposal, you need to read it, be aware, and if you're going to have product in storage, you need to follow what they're recommending. The warranty and the statement, again, general information that you can, that's available. And then the worker protection labeling. So that's going to be very, very important. And again, in the 40s, 50s, people were using chemicals that were not protecting the workers. And we've seen many cases of something seriously happening. So that's where some of this, the background of the need for some of this, which includes the PPE, the personal protective equipment. And read the label, because many of them will have a very, very specific requirement depending on whether it's a category 1, category 2, category 3. But personal protective equipment, obviously you need to protect your eyes, not with glasses, but with chemical safe type goggles that are approved. There are some type of glasses that are approved, or eyewear that are going on top of eyeglasses. But make sure that you have the right eye protection. Gloves that are going to be latex or chemical resistant, not leather gloves, not cotton gloves, but some kind of chemical resistant gloves. Protective clothing, in most often, if you have to wear a full suit, that'll be great. In other cases, it will just require for you to wear long sleeves. So long sleeve shirt at a minimum, but read the label because that's very important. The decontamination, so in case something happens, you can go there and decontaminate yourself. Or it's also very important that at the end of the day, if you use any of these products, that you wash your body. So go immediately and wash your body, get rid of a lot of any kind of exposure, maybe some drift, maybe just a little. And also, if you have used some clothing, make sure that you wash it separately so that it's not going to contaminate the rest of the clothing. Um, and then medical care posting. If you're going to use this product and something happens, somebody finds you, they should know where to take you in case there is a problem or to save your life. Soap, water, and that will be part of the decontamination area. So an area for you to wash your hands and get the product out of it. And so that's the label. We will continue with the second portion later on, where we're going to go a lot more in detail with the requirements and the licensing. So take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.